We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob, and you're listening to episode number 310. I almost said 210. Strange. Anyways, we appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with us, as always.
We absolutely do. I've got a little warning here for you, Rob.
Uh-oh. What is that?
Today's question is from a beginner.
You know what? We love beginner questions.
I know some of you out there might be like, oh gosh, they're beating this over like a dead horse. Stop it. Why don't you? Well, we are trying to bridge the gap from some jargon and terms that you may learn as a videographer or pilot to people who are new. Why? Because, you know, if you're learning and you don't know, you really shouldn't be apologetic to say, I don't know, and
Absolutely.
I want to learn. If you want to learn, that's a great thing. So this may be breaking down a question pretty intensely, but you know what? It's going to provide an answer to someone who's new.
Well, and I think it's going to provide an answer to a lot of people that are wondering this. The reality is, Paul, and we're seeing this is a community of people that are leaving other industries, worlds they've been a part of for a long time, be it working for somebody, government, military, whatever, and they're getting into something that's entirely new to them, particularly as it relates to using cameras. So anyways, we want to help those folks.
We definitely do. So anyway, guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for the reviews. Thank you for the subscriptions to the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Why don't we just go ahead and get into today's question? It's regarding using polarizing versus neutral density filters and understanding kind of the point of using those and how to really maximize the use of those. So if you're using some Polar Pro filters, which we've been giving away for a long time, well then pay attention, because this may help you just kind of bring things down to layman's terms, like why you want to use them, how you want to use them on your vehicle, and kind of what the purpose is. So let's go ahead and play today's question, which is brought to you by... Are you a drone pilot? Are you operating under a Section 333 exemption? Then you may be familiar with Item 27, which requires you to get a property release for every flight over property.
Legal Flyer is an app for iPhone and iPad that helps you create professional property releases in less time than it takes to do a pre-flight check.
You can add your pilot info, you can sign it, hand it to the property owner for their signature. But wait a second. Legal Flyer's advanced integration automatically adds latitude, longitude, and even altitude.
Then add a panorama straight from the app. Everything drops into a single-page PDF you can share with a single tap. It's compliance at light speed. Visit LegalFlyer.com for more information or get it straight from the App Store. Legal Flyer, property releases for professional drone pilots.
This is Todd in Houston again. I am up and running after the crash, and I had a question about the polarizing adapters for the camera. I got 3 of them, the polarizing one, the 4, and the 8-stop. Now, I've been learning Adobe Premiere, just putting a lot of time into it, and have been able to apply the effects to the film. However, one of the customers asked, I wished it would have been done on a brighter day. So I went back, and this one, when I had not had the filters yet, I shot the same house with all 3 filters at the same time of day. And by the way, those things are not easy to get on and off, so any tips on that would be helpful. When I got back into my computer, the difference between the 3 filters, to me, a layman, were hardly noticeable. Am I doing something wrong here? And how do you lighten up your videos when needed?
G'day guys, Alex from Drone Gear here. We've got Ed from Media Drafts. And Polar Pro have sent us these awesome 6-pack filters. We're going to do a little unboxing and review and tell you guys all about them and the features. Ed, tell us a bit about the filters and how you'd use them in like a professional application, being an aerial cinematographer.
Absolutely. So these are great for both the hobbyist and the professional. For the hobbyist, what these filters are going to do, I'll walk you through each one. We start with a polarizer. So for you guys that are just out there, maybe you're into surfing, maybe you're like us, you like to fly drones no matter where you go, and you end up at the beach, mountains, particularly the beach. Let's talk about the beach for the polarizer. So when the sun's hitting the ocean and giving you that, that there's little sunspots on the water and it's real blown out and bright, this is going to reduce that glare on the ocean. So that's what the polarizer is used for.
And that's going to help with reflection too.
Yeah, totally. Reflections in any situation.
Reflections, glare, it's really going to help. So let's go to the next one. What do we got? The ND8.
Yeah, the ND8.
So I was on set just the other day with Jimmy John's, the sandwich shoot. So yeah, it was low light, the sun was just coming up, and he's like, have you got a filter? And I was like, yeah, I got ND8, ND16, and an ND32. Now the 8 was perfect for low light. So yeah, that was a great application and it was needed. So whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, these really help. Low light and then, to other lights as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And now also for the professional setting, it's like NDs are a standard. I don't know if you guys work on sets, if you have a goal to work on sets, you want to get into production, maybe get to LA, New York, wherever you may be. NDs are a standard. Your director of photography, your DP, your director, and everyone down to the camera operator is going to request NDs if there's any kind of sunlight going on at all. So these things are super expected. You're expected to have these when you're on set. So
Ed, tell us about that shoot the other day while we're talking about sets and professional. And again, this goes for hobbyists as well. It's not just for professionals.
Yeah.
You were out in the desert. Was it Club Ed, the location?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about the light and how much, how bright it was out there.
Absolutely. So when you're sitting out in the California desert, out past the Mojave, or near Joshua Tree area, anywhere where you have a gleaming full sun, if you don't have these, you're gonna have to, you're going to have to turn your shutter way higher than most people on set want to do. You're going to have to really crank the aperture. You're going to mess with your settings. Your ISO is going to be low. When you pop these NDs on, it gives you more variability with your camera settings and really gets you the best picture. I mean, it's almost as if you're changing the lens on these Inspires and these Phantom 3s. When you put these NDs on in bright sunlight, and especially these ND polarizer crosses, which we'll get into in a minute, it is almost as if you're changing your lens. You're getting such a brilliant picture compared to what you would normally get.
I got the 16 here. It screws on very simply, so whether it's your Phantom 3 or the Inspire 1, I believe the Phantom 3 ones weigh 4 grams, so they don't affect your gimbal. So as soon as you put them on, your flat one just screws straight off. And we got the 16 here, which is your 4-stop filter. So this is a great filter for the middle of the day. So it just screws on really easy. So I like how Polar Pro have worked with DJI in the production. So when they released the Phantom 3, they had the filters ready to go, which is great. So product hasn't been rushed to the market. It's been really thought through, not just for Phantom 3 but for the Inspire 1 as well.
Absolutely.
So I believe the Inspire 1s will weigh 7 grams.
Yep, the Inspire 1s weigh 7 grams. There's one less step than the Phantom 3. You're not going to have to unscrew anything unless you have your clear protector on there. They go right on the Inspire, just a simple twist on. Again, these guys, Polar Pro, worked really closely with DJI and they have the threading down great. It just looks professional, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. I mean, compared to your standard clear, it's doing something good.
Yeah, and when you get those, you're shooting straight into the sunlight. You still get those nice lens flares as well, but it just takes out a lot of that direct sunlight, and it's great. Yeah. So Polar Pro have sent us this awesome 6-pack carry case, which is for the Phantom 3, but it also works universal for the Inspire 1 filters as well. So whether you get this case for Phantom 3 or for the Inspire 1, or if you have both, they just stack on top and they don't touch each other. So
that's really cool.
That's great. And tell us about the socks. If you don't get this case, I'd advise getting this, just because it's great. But if you don't,
you got these awesome little socks. But it's great. It's a great little safe travel pouch.
Yeah. No, it's the attention to detail. So each filter comes with a sock. It's great. It protects them. You're not gonna get them scratched. It's gonna let your filters go for that longevity of your drone. So I really love it. So guys, we're gonna go out to the beach to shoot this. We're gonna go in the middle of the day, so we're gonna see those, those blues get enhanced by the polarizer filters on set. And it's gonna be fun. We're gonna show you each one. We're gonna say this is the polarizer. We'll have a little clip down the bottom, which you'll see. So guys, we're gonna go test it out. Let's do it.
Let's get up in the air, player.
You. All right, guys, we made it to Malibu.
Yeah, it's beautiful, bright out, perfect day to test these filters.
We're gonna get the two drones side by side. We're gonna keep the settings very neutral, very flat. We're not gonna do anything in post. And you guys are gonna be able to tell which filter's which and compare them. So let's do this.
Let's get up in the air, player.
Woo, yeah. Alright guys, we've got the polarizer filter on. You can already notice a huge difference in the blues here, and it's really helping with cutting that glare and reflection.
So here we are with the ND16, and it's gotten too dark for exposure, so our original plan was to not adjust it and show you the dramatic difference, but instead what we're going to do here is take the shutter down a little bit. This happens on set a lot, where DPs want a slower shutter and bright light. This is where the stronger NDs come in. So you're going to see it at optimal settings right now. Inspire 1 is up with the ND32, and just like Cav said, this is really making those blues pop. It's really eliminating any glare. You can see me now at 100 feet. It is just absolutely stunning. You can see the difference right here. I'm sure we're showing you on screen. It's unbelievable.
All right, guys, we got the ND8 with the polarizer combination on. We're just getting it up to 100 feet. And we're at 100 feet. Let's do a pan. So, the colors aren't as deep on this. We've adjusted the shutter and the ISO accordingly.
Guys, this is the ND16 polarizer hybrid, and it is gorgeous. I don't know how else to say it, guys. I mean, this is it right here. This is my new go-to. It's on. It's just on.
How good is it?
It's so good. Thank you guys for flying with us. I hope you learned a lot about filters. I learned about the best filters to get, Polar Pro. We had a blast out here. Make sure you subscribe to my channel at the end in the end card, and make sure that you click the link in the bio to purchase your filters.
Yeah, guys, we're going to leave all the links at the end of the video. We had a blast. Thank you, Ed, for flying your Inspire 1. Guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to bring you some more videos soon. We're going to keep you informed, give away some free drone gear in the process. Follow Drone Dudes, Drone Gear, Media Drafts, Polar Pro. Follow everyone. They're all our sponsors. Everyone helps us out. We're all a family here. Guys, fly safe. Have fun out there.
We're out. We're out. We're out.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you for the question. We really appreciate it. And guys, by the way, if you have a question, be like Todd. Send it in. AskDroneU.com.
Yearn to learn, Robert. Yearn to learn.
Absolutely. And Todd is pursuing the information wherever he can get it, and we're one of those sources, and we're happy to be that.
Thanks for keeping me humble, Rob. Let's get into today's question. What's the point of using these filters? First of all, there's a difference between polarizing filters and neutral density filters. A polarizing filter, all that's going to do is really pop your colors. That's really going to increase the saturation of your colors, which you can also do... what is it called when it's digitally done through the camera itself? I forget the name. I just think of like fake artificial changing of saturation can be done through the camera sensor itself, but a polarizing filter makes it look a little bit more natural. Now, this is, we were just filming our advanced videography class, Rob, and this is something that we were talking about when it comes to using filters, when to use filters.
Right.
And it's really interesting because I don't think a lot of people really understand the difference between polarizing filters and neutral density filters.
I'm sure
now,
not.
They may be difficult to take off, but if you understand how to use these filters properly, you kind of just normally pick one depending on the area that you live.
Right.
Houston, I would think it's kind of smoggy there because it's a really big city, so I'm not sure that you would want a super dark neutral density filter, like as if you would if you were here
Right.
in the desert
With
of New Mexico
bright
or
sun.
Arizona, where, yeah, it's super bright. We want an ND32. So what is the point of using these? How do we use them? Anyway, what I was also saying, sorry, I'm so ADD. I get lost and off track so easily.
It's a lot going on. thinking.
Yeah, well, I just think of like all these different things that he could be doing, and it's
Right.
like, oh, what about that?
Really quick, before you get into it,
I don't want to forget what I was about to say.
Go ahead,
The
okay.
point is about the artificial saturation. A lot of people shoot in D-Log, which flattens the image. That is so that people can pull up the colors and the exposure in post more, and they have a deeper dynamic range. Now, for those of you who are new, I don't recommend you shoot in D-Log because you're not quite familiar on how to edit this footage, so it's not really going to help you.
Okay.
So I would recommend that if you're going into your style settings or if you're going into the shooting type when you're shooting this video, just do it in either none or do it in some way that gives you the color that you like, that you don't have to edit very much. But
when you say some way,
well, there's like 9 different things. You can do like art, vivid, just
Gotcha.
none, D-Log, D-Cinelike. I always shoot in D-Log. If you do none, it actually looks pretty good, to be honest. It's like shooting on like a A6000. It's just all very bright colors. That being said, if you know how to properly use these ND filters, you'll probably set that once and forget it, really.
Right.
So what is he trying to do with these ND filters? The whole point of a neutral density filter is to slow the shutter speed down of the camera. The camera is artificially setting the shutter speed based off the software of the camera. And a lot of times that shutter speed is way too fast. Your footage looks really crappy, looks like it's clipping. It just doesn't look good. That being said, the whole idea of the neutral density filter is to make the blues of the sky darker while slowing down the shutter speed. And when we slow down that shutter speed, we get a much more natural looking image.
okay.
But some people say, oh, well, it looks really dark when I put the neutral density filter on. Yes, it does. There's 2 ways to compensate for that darkness. Now, sometimes if it's just not light enough outside and you're using a really dark neutral density filter, you're not really going to be able to do much with the shadows, the really dark areas. But it's much, much worse if you overexpose the image, meaning it's too white. The sky looks too blue, or excuse me, the sky looks too white, not enough blue. When that happens, you have no data in
Okay.
the color. So you have nothing that you can set a foundation on and work off of.
So you want to work from the other direction.
Yeah, it's
have
better
too
to be
much
darker.
color and
Yes,
darkness.
It's better to have too much darkness because he can go up. Now in Final Cut Pro, I forget where it is in Premiere Pro, but in Final Cut Pro, when you click on the clip in your timeline, you can go to adjustments and then click on exposure and increase the shadow exposure. That's going to brighten up your shadows.
Okay.
A recommendation I would make to new guys is decrease your highlights just a little bit to add a little bit more color saturation and increase your shadows just a little bit. Also, if you're flying around and it looks too dark, that wheel that's on the right side of your remote, if you adjust that, that's your exposure value. So that's like artificially increasing the EV or decreasing the EV, just like we did on a GoPro. You can step up that EV in thirds of a step. So you
Okay.
can go up, say, a third or 2/3 of a step. So if it seems too dark for you, set your EV with that wheel. You'll notice it'll get lighter and darker to 2/3 of a step above, and that'll actually increase the light. The neutral density filter is still going to make it dark, so that little bump and increase will help you out. But do understand that you're going to speed up the shutter speed when you do that.
Okay.
Which is not, you really want to be careful about how much that shutter speed goes
So you got to
up.
learn how to balance those.
Well, true, and what I would say, because I know how to edit, and if you are shooting and you know how to edit, shooting dark is actually really good because you just push the shadows and the mid-tone exposure in post and it looks
Right.
normal. Because a lot of people will shoot dark to begin with. So what he's doing is actually, he's finding out inadvertently that he's actually doing it right.
That's good.
The thing is, though, if he doesn't know how to adjust the exposure in post, he's got to do it on site with that exposure value wheel.
Okay.
So
He talks about the fact that he used 3 different filters, same time of day, assuming same lights, and yet he's not seeing any difference.
Well,
What's going on there?
It also could be another error I see a lot of people making when it comes to editing is that they're editing on a computer that has not had a calibrated screen. So you may not even be able to tell the difference, frankly.
Okay.
How do you calibrate a screen? There's a thing called a spider, and you can buy it at Best Buy. Screen calibration, just Google it. And you get this thing that goes on your monitor, and it measures the ambient light in the room, and it also measures the gamma outputs from the monitor itself, so that your image looks exactly how it would look on every other computer if it were right out of the box.
Right.
Now, some people do adjust their screens, which is fine, but you have to set to that uniform foundation point of color.
Sure.
Right? So that's step number 1, is in
Okay.
order to really truly see what you're looking at, you've got to calibrate your screen. Sorry, I'm just trying to take this back to the most
This is
fundamental level.
Absolutely. It's awesome.
So the next thing is when he's editing, there is definitely a difference in that footage, without a doubt. The shutter speeds are going to be way different. The ISO is going to be different. Everything's going to be different.
Just based on the filter?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Wow. Okay.
So now his overall look and how much he can change that look is going to be different from each filter. So that polarizing filter, the image that he sees there, that's pretty much what he's going to get.
Okay.
Now that next image on the ND8, I think he said ND32 or 16, I can't remember. On the ND8, if he were to up the exposure value, or if he were to up the exposure itself, in post, meaning you're increasing that bar up to more light, he's going to make the image lighter. But he's not also going to lose the color tones by increasing the shadows too much. That's
Okay.
what the neutral density filter is doing. It's like, hey, I'm going to protect the color even though you're going to make it brighter. Because on the polarizing filter, if you make it brighter, you blow out all the color.
So am I
Right?
hearing
I mean,
you?
John, am I wrong here?
So am I
He's
hearing
shaking
you
his head no.
correctly? No, you're not wrong, is the way he's shaking your head, right? Okay, anyways. Am I hearing you right then that essentially what these filters are doing, so it's particularly for a new eye, so to speak, when it comes to photography and looking at images and colors and so forth, it's maybe not even that unusual to think that the images look relatively similar even though you're using different filters, but you're getting different capacity for change in post from the different filters?
Yes, different capacity to change and post from the filters, but you're also getting a different look to start with. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But maybe if you don't have the eye developed to
Yes.
see that difference, it wouldn't be that unusual for a new person to think there's not much of a difference between the filters.
True.
So don't
Have you
feel
ever-
weird, Todd.
Have you ever heard of the curse of knowledge, Rob?
Having too much knowledge, essentially?
Yes,
Yeah.
so the curse of knowledge. In fact, I learned this when I was doing some hyperspectral imaging way back in the day. Curse of knowledge is that once you have learned about a certain thing, you look at it a certain way.
Right.
Right? So right now, you watch TV a certain way. If you were to learn about videography, if you were to learn about how to control a camera, if you were to learn about how they edit all that stuff together,
I wouldn't enjoy it as much.
not nearly as much. And
Yep.
I know John does the same thing because I do it. I look at stuff and I'm like, oh, no, oh,
All you do is
gosh."
critique.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You
totally.
never look at it the same. It's that curse of knowledge that you have a different perspective than you may have had before. So
Right.
what I'm trying to say is he has that before perspective. Once he starts learning, oh, okay, there's that camera motion. Oh, that's how they set up the camera. Oh, that's how they edit it. Oh, okay, like I see the jump cut here. He'll look at everything completely differently.
Yeah, and a lot of what Todd's going through and needs to go through is just simply the learning curve process. There aren't really any shortcuts.
No.
I mean,
Well, there's
there
Droneo.
are. There are a lot of shortcuts. That's true. We do help shorten the learning curve. But in terms of becoming really good at videography and photography and so forth, it just takes time. And we take somebody like Vic. one of our original members and an awesome member of Drone U, very, very helpful. He's been doing it for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
So people hear him talk about it. It seems so easy to him. Well, it is, but it's because he's been doing it forever.
That's true.
It just takes time.
And he just knows that light, that exposure, that ISO. All right, here's my photo. Now I'm going to do what I want to do with it.
Oh, yeah, and he'll look at a picture, and you'll do the same thing. John does the same thing, and you guys see stuff, and I'm like, well, whatever. Okay. It looks nice.
That's what you get graded on, Rob. That's what makes
I
good quality.
I understand, and that has to happen for people that do what you guys do.
Definitely. I hope that answered Todd's question, though. And for some of you, it may have been pretty basic, but everyone starts somewhere, and
Absolutely.
you can't be embarrassed about starting anywhere, especially when you have the passion and the motivation to start something new and do what you want. You got to give them props for that. So props, Todd.
Yeah, and Todd's already working, getting paid.
Oh, cool.
Apparently, right? Doing video for real estate, so that's awesome for him.
Good for you, Todd. Just make sure you are safe. You know your emergency mitigation procedures. There's a lot that goes into it. You're insured. I mean, there's a lot. So.
All that stuff that we've been talking about for a long time now. So anyways, if you guys have a question, be it beginner, be it expert, whatever, we'll get the answer for you. Go to askdroneu.com. Check us out there. Check us out on Instagram. You can tag us. Paul likes to share those pictures.
I may be a little slow at sharing this weekend, though. So I need to ramp up this week, so I'm planning on going to the gym. Ramp up. It's weird I post during the gym. Anyway, secret about Paul. Paul goes to the gym, hits the elliptical for an hour and a half, and goes on Instagram.
Hey, that works. Whatever, right? Everybody has their workflow, so
but
to
anyway,
speak.
yeah, this weekend may be a little slow because we're going to the lake. We have a little change of plans, but we're still going to be testing the Life Preserver deployment system.
Cool.
So it should be fun. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for the reviews. If you haven't left a review, go to itunes.com, ask Drone U, and please leave us a review. It does so much for us. And if we have helped you in any way, please, 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 please help us. If you have a yearn to learn and you want to learn how to fly like pro, you want to learn how to fly safely, you want to learn about emergency mitigations, and really you want to lower that learning curve and not have a costly learning curve, highly recommend you become a member of Drone U and this community, this amazing community, which seems to be growing every day. I say seems to be, it definitely is growing.
It is, yeah.
And I love our private Facebook community because it's, it's that point after you learn, you go to a lot of other places and you just learn. You meet some great people, you have a great time, and then that stops. And you kind of have no one to talk with or a place to go after you learn. And that's what I love about the Drone U community because it's just where people are constantly learning. Whether you're new, whether you're old, it's a great demographic of people.
Mm-hmm.
You get some straight up, no BS answers from people. And people are nice, which I really love about it.
Respectful answers, though,
yes,
for sure.
Definitely.
Helpful but respectful.
Yes, they are. Well, anyway, guys, on that note, if you want to learn, go to thedroneu.com, become a member, and you'll find out about all the great member benefits. But that's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
I'm Rob.
This is Ask Drone U.
We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.